Hi, I'm Steve. You can call me Steve. Continuing on with my look at ingredients in common household products, this week I'm going to look at laundry detergent. I think we can all agree that my attempts to make these relatable with a humanizing personal anecdote are getting rather forced. Like shampoo, detergent gets things clean. Because it's not going directly on your skin, it has a bit of leeway in how aggressive it can be. Because it's cleaning things that will go directly on your skin, it's not a lot of leeway. As before, I'll group ingredients by function. Last video, I used a product from SC Johnson, which I carefully didn't identify. This time, I'm carefully not identifying a product from Procter & Gamble, who have also released lists of ingredients and their purposes. Again, I'm not getting paid for this. It's water. Just like for shampoo and oven cleaner, it's easier to mix your ingredients in water than it is to use them neat. I'm using neat here in the same sense as bartenders do for scotch with no water. It's also a perfectly cromulent term in the chemistry lab for a reaction that uses a chemical in its concentrated form and not dissolved in a solvent. Surfactants are things in soaps that make them soaps. I've talked about them in 3 videos so far, so I won't belabor the point too much. But if you haven't seen those other videos, surfactants create little pockets where water-hating grease and oil can go to get away from your clothes. This product has 5 different surfactants, because why use one when 5 are better? One thing they didn't add was extra foaming agents. These go into shampoos and dish soaps, but nothing that gets used in an appliance like a washing machine or a dishwasher, because that is far too much agitation. If you run out of laundry soap, do not use dish soap. The internet is full of pictures of the resulting wall of foam. As a side note, linear alkyl benzene sulfonate is a derivative of the stuff we put in the giant plastic bubble at the neutrino mine. We get it before it gets turned into the sulfonate, because at that point it's not great for cleaning your clothes, but it's fantastic for telling you when a neutrino has come by. These things are described on the ingredients list as capturing soil, although in the context of dirty clothes, soil can mean a lot of things. These chemicals are called chelators, which means they wrap around metal ions in solution. Unless you work in a smelter, I can't see metal being the dominant source of soiling on your clothes. I shouldn't be too skeptical though. Borax has been used quite effectively as a detergent for decades, so there's clearly more going on here than simple chelation as I understand it. A side effect of adding these things is that the detergent gets foamier. Hard water is notorious for killing foam, due to it containing calcium and magnesium ions. Chelators bear hug those ions and stop them causing trouble, so the foam comes back. Citric acid there is something of an all-purpose ingredient. It does a whole bunch of things, including adjusting the pH. All of these surfactants are rather basic, and a little bit of citric acid brings the pH closer to neutral, so your clothes don't get damaged or dissolve. I've given a pretty hand-wavy explanation of how surfactants work. They give the grease a grease-loving environment to go into somehow. Those surfactants are long molecules with a water-loving end and a water-hating end, and a bunch of molecules stick their water-hating ends together and create a little blob called a micelle. The thing is, that micelle doesn't do any good if it's nowhere near the grease. That's where this polyethyleneamine comes in. It's a polymer with a lot of positive charges on it, and it attracts the negatively charged surfactants and concentrates them at the interface where the water ends and the clothes begin. They're perfectly positioned to grab the grease and pull it off your clothes. This one's cool. You know how detergents are sometimes advertised as getting your clothes whiter than white? Ever wonder what that means? Well, you should have been wondering how it works. What's happening is photochemistry. If your formerly white shirt is dingy and kind of yellow, that means it's reflecting the yellow part of the visible spectrum, and the orange and red as well, but they're harder to see. To look white again, it needs to also reflect blues and purples. To make that happen, the detergent contains a fluorescent dye. It absorbs UV light, which is just all around, and re-emits it as blue. This plus the yellow of the shirt makes a complete spectrum, which is what we see as white light. Here's where we get out of chemistry and into biochemistry. Enzymes are proteins that are configured to do chemical reactions and do them extremely efficiently. Most bench chemists get a little jealous at how good they are at their jobs. The jobs these ones do is to break down protein, in the case of protease, and carbohydrates, in the case of amylase. They're basically digesting the dirt on your clothes. Let's be honest, food spills are more common than people want to admit, and proteins and carbs aren't all that greasy, so they're not inclined to go into my cells. Throwing these enzymes to break down giant blobs into individual water-soluble molecules makes cleaning a lot easier. Process aids are things used in the manufacturing process that don't end up in the final product. At least they're not supposed to. There may be trace residues left over. It's unavoidable at the scales these products are manufactured at. Legally, companies aren't required to report them. The fact that they're on an official manufacturer's list that I just Googled is impressive honesty on Procter & Gamble's part. These things are used for a variety of applications during the process of making laundry detergent, although most of them seem to be for adjusting the pH of solutions and mixtures. Dimethicone, a common silicon-based polymer, is specifically described as reducing sudsing, because you don't want to make foam until the product is in the consumer's washing machine. That's laundry soap. There was one more thing on the list, which is fragrance. That's it, just fragrance. It's a bit of a cop-out, but not that uncommon. A lot of fragrance mixtures are trade secrets, because you don't want your competition copying your unique formulation of tropical lavender breeze. I've shown a lot of chemical structures in this and the previous two videos, and a lot of tongue-twisting chemical names. They look daunting, but they're just a description of what the molecule looks like and what atoms it's made of. The names are a code, and once you learn that code, they all make perfect sense. They don't have to be scary at all. Thanks for watching. I've been Steve.